Man, I'm telling you what, guys, it has been too long. How's everyone doing? I just want to say hello to everyone out there in YouTube land. Today, I'm out here on the Chattahoochee River, if you can see behind me, and I'm training for a through hike on the Pine Mountain Trail. That's right, this weekend I'll be out there with a few friends. In fact, over the year, I had an individual, his name was Noah, reach out and said he was very interested in doing this hike. So this weekend, I'm very excited to say I'll be out there backpacking the Pine Mountain Trail with a friend of mine and his father, Randall. Noah, I just want to give you a big shout out and say hello. I'm not going to tell you exactly what our plans are, but we will be out there on the Pine Mountain Trail. But last weekend, I was at AT Gateways, and I was a speaker, and one of the topics that I spoke on was tips and strategies for a successful through hike. And I went through a number of different elements regarding strength, strategy, and support. Good morning, Hooter. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Hooter was at AT Gateways. Thank you for coming out and supporting that event. For those that don't know what AT Gateways is, it is an annual event held at Amicalola Falls. I've done a video on that. Make sure you check that out if you want more information. But in short, speakers, vendors, all kinds of great things over the course of the last weekend in February, first weekend of March. Typically, hello Senior, hello Johnny Camper, I should say. Look forward to seeing you and Hooter this weekend on the Pine Mountain Trail. But again, AT Gateways is a great event for everyone to come together and network and meet people from the Appalachian Trail community and beyond. But today, like I said, I'm training for a through hike, and a lot of people at the event asked me, what do you need to do to prepare or to train for a through hike of the Appalachian Trail? Well, what I wanted to talk about today, hey Joseph, how are you? I always wanted to hike the AP, but definitely without a firearm. So we'll talk about that as well. I think that, for those that are worried about security, for the most part, the Appalachian Trail is relatively safe. There are some things that would make it a little uncomfortable at times, but for the most part, you should be okay out there. Anyway, so what I was trying to say is that when it comes to a through hike or training for a through hike of the Appalachian Trail, what I recommend everyone to do is to find their local resource and to go out and hike it and get familiar not only with going longer distances every single day. Joseph, good morning, my friend. Lisa says, can't wait your next through hiking. Yes, so the next through hike is going to be the Pine Mountain Trail. It's a 23-mile trail out in Pine Mountain, Georgia in FDR State Park, and I'll be doing that this weekend, in fact, and it's a great place to train up for longer distance through hikes. In fact, on that note, it's been 5 years. It'll be 5 years in a couple weeks that I actually did my very first through hike of the Pine Mountain Trail, which led to a through hike of the Foothills Trail, which then led to a through hike of the Appalachian Trail. But the takeaway from today's conversation is as such. Where I'm going with this is that if you hike local and get familiar with hiking longer distances and getting familiar with your gear, the easier it's going to be. AT Walk and Talk, heading out on the 10th for 100 miles from Springer. Enjoy learning from your channel. Thank you, AT Walk and Talk. Yeah, that's what this whole channel's been all about. So 5 years ago, I did my very first through hike of the Pine Mountain Trail, and I got to meet Johnny Camper, aka Senior Hiker 77, Atypical Hiker, Mike P, and I did that through hike with my friend As the Crow Flies Hiking from the Pinhoti Mafia. And from there, the relationships just continued to grow within this community. And it inspired me learning from everyone. We all learn from each other. That's what this is all about. The backpacking community is incredible. There's so much that we can all learn from each other when it comes to tips and strategies and so forth. But regarding the speech that I gave at AT Gateways over the weekend, if you guys were unable to make that meeting, there is a copy of that presentation on my YouTube channel. I'll try and put a link of that in the description, but make sure you go check that out. Also, for those that are trying to get more familiar with the Appalachian Trail as a whole, I've been doing a series of state-by-state videos. I just put out a video yesterday in regards to the friendliest state on the Appalachian Trail, which I consider to be Massachusetts. If you'd like to see more about the highlights of each one of those states, going from Georgia all the way to Maine. I'm still got a few more states to go. The next one coming out will be Vermont, but I did just put out the friendliest state on the Appalachian Trail, which is Massachusetts. Hooter says, see it, Pine Mountain, safe and have fun, my friend. Yes. So when it comes to training for a through hike, people are like, oh, so do you have to carry your backpack fully loaded and hike several miles? I would say no. I'd say it's really all about endurance when it comes to strength training, doing it consistently, right? Not just going out and killing yourself, carrying massive amounts of weight and doing long distance miles, and that's good, but you also put yourself in a position where you might potentially hurt yourself. So when it comes to through hiking or training for a through hike, I would say that you need to start small in terms of your mileage, but do it consistently. And then when it comes to backpacking with weight, you know, that's great that you bring your backpack and so forth, but I would recommend potentially just doing the miles and getting familiar with hiking. And then if you want to carry your backpack, great, that, but the more you put strain on your body, again, we are all human. We all have X amount of years in our lives. And the more strain you put on your body is good, I guess, to some extent, but if you can definitely overdo it. So again, start small, just get familiar with hiking every single day and hike local. I said this in my presentation, I've also said this in other areas, that you don't just have to get in your car and drive an hour and a half to 2 hours away or whatever to go to the AT to get on and have that experience. Hike local. Part of Leave No Trace principles is to plan ahead and prepare. And part of that can be, hey, I'm going to do the research. I'm going to watch people like myself on YouTube that have done this before to get more acclimated with what to expect in these sections. But in terms of training, I definitely recommend all of you guys to hike local and also to support local trail organizations. One of the trail organizations that I recommend specifically is the Chattahoochee River National Park Conservancy. I've been going to the Chattahoochee River consistently for the past 40 years, believe it or not, ever since I've lived in Georgia, off and on, since my parents returned from Hong Kong. We've been going to the Chattahoochee. In fact, I'm in an area right now where I can still remember tubing down this river, but in the Whitewater Creek area, especially in the East Palisades, there are a significant number of trails that loop, and I've been able to come out here on a regular basis. And this is where I actually trained up as well, in addition to the Pine Mountain Trail, to get ready for a long distance through hike. But again, the key takeaway here is to hike local, to get acclimated with hiking in all kinds of conditions. One of the things I spoke about at the AT Gateways conference over the past weekend was, if you really want to feel what it's like to hike the Appalachian Trail and you really want to have that experience, well, you can get yourself on a Stairmaster, right? And you can set the grade at about 20% or so and hike for an hour. If you do 1 hour, that's like doing basically 2 miles on the Appalachian Trail just consistently on that Stairmaster. But if you really wanted to get the experience, put your backpack on, and on top of which maybe put on a wet set of clothing, right? So you've got wet clothes, your backpack, and you're on the Stairmaster. There you go. You got your dream come true. You're on the AT. And the thing is about a through hike is that once you're in it, you're definitely in it. Other things I wanted to talk about was, when it comes to the world of through hiking, the numbers are really small in terms of who actually accomplishes this type of stuff, right? You don't have to be a super hiker. All of us, for the most part, if we have hiked a section of the Appalachian Trail, we're all section hikers. So every single year, about 3 million people will head out to hike a section of the Appalachian Trail, whether it be a few miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, or whatever it might be. The key takeaway here is as such, is that we are all, for the most part, in this frame of mind of saying, oh, I'm going to, I'm this type of hiker, or I'm that type of hiker. We're all section hikers. And for those that are on their attempt of a through hike, they are not a through hiker until they complete that. So 3 million will attempt to hike a portion of the Appalachian Trail, and then approximately 3,000 will attempt to hike the entire trail from point to point or maybe do a flip-flop in between or some other destination to where they're hiking north and then south and then do the flip to the top and go the opposite direction. But out of that 3,000, only about 1 in 4 will successfully make it to the very end. So it's a very small percentage, about 0.025% of those that through hike will actually complete it out of the 3 million people that hike a section of the trail. So the key takeaway from that is that we're all on our own path. We all are trying to, get something from this experience. So part of no trace principles is to be considerate of others. Tulips and Cats, how are you, my friend? Welcome for joining us. We're all on our own path, so it's like, so someone might be hiking the AT for various different reasons that are specific and personal to them. So if you see someone on the trail, congratulate them for taking that first step to get out there and to actually put themselves in that environment. There is no real right or wrong way to hike the AT. It's really about hiking your own hike. So it's all about supporting each other, listening to each other, and really celebrating the fact that someone took the first step to get out there. So whether they're hiking 5 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, again, we're all section hikers, and you're only a through hiker once you've completed that entire journey. So again, those are big goals. And for those that are training now to hike the AT, again, to prepare for that, I'm saying it over and over again, hike local, enjoy your local resources, support people like the Pine Mountain Trail Association, the Chattahoochee River National Park Conservancy, the Penhody Experience Foundation, and even the major clubs in your state like the Georgia Appalachian Trail Club. I recently became a trail ambassador for them, and part of my journey in the next year is I'm going to actually be going out on the trail more frequently, and I will actually be talking with more people on the trail. I'll be more of a figure in terms of being a resource of information to help those learn leave no trace principles. For those that may not know what leave no trace is, I'll just run through those principles with you right now. I'd encourage you to go online to learn more about it. But the first one, again, is to plan ahead, prepare, hike local, get familiar with hiking as a whole, and then planning for whatever section you're going to go hike on the AT to make sure you have the information that you need. But 2 is to always travel and camp on durable surfaces to make sure you stay on the trail, make sure you're not bushwhacking, going off trail, or going off the beaten path per se to protect those local areas. Lisa Cassidy says, means pick up your trash. 100%. Pack it in, pack it out. If you're bringing it into the woods, make sure you bring all that out with you. The third is to dispose of waste properly, like Lisa said there. If you are going to have to go to the restroom in the woods, make sure you bring a trowel with you and bury your waste at least 6 to 8 inches deep in the ground. To use privies when they are available. That is very important to make sure that you're not just, completely destroying the landscape with various different cat holes everywhere, because no one likes to step in those. I call those jelly donuts if you do step in a cat hole. That's the worst thing that could ever happen. 4 is to leave what you find. Make sure you're not taking away artifacts or picking flowers or disturbing the natural landscape. Leave it as you find it. If not, leave it better than you found it. The 5th is to minimize campfire impacts. Make sure you use existing fire rings. Don't be, burning things and then walking away from fire pits that may still be active. In fact, when I was on the Appalachian Trail, I'd say we never had a fire, mainly because water, right? You have to have water to put the fire out. Even though it may look like it's burnt out, nothing's going to happen. You want to make sure that you dump all of your water on it to make sure the fire is completely put out, make a slurry, and make sure that that's done. So minimize fire impacts, make sure you do that. Respect wildlife. Don't be disturbing animals. In fact, on the video I put out yesterday, we were in Massachusetts and some cows had broken out in this pasture, and we were walking through. There's cow patties everywhere. They were not in the designated areas, and they're sitting there chilling on both sides of the trail, right? And we're walking right through them. So one looks at me, no big deal, and then the other one's kind of like chewing his cud and has flies in his eyes, and he's kind of minding his own business. And I said, "Moo!" That cow turned and looked at me. I was like, "Oh, I think I have a problem here." So I was trying to be as respectful of wildlife as possible. The point is, don't taunt them. You never know what kind of mood they might be in. They could end up like freaking out on you. And the last thing, again, is to be considerate of others. Hike your own hike. Do what's best for you. Don't pack shame people. Don't give people information that they're not looking for. If they want information, they'll probably ask you about it. Again, be considerate of others. One of those big things I would say for anyone that's out on the trail, especially if you're training, is to not be blasting your music from your phone. As fun as that might be, I love music, but I don't want to hear your Taylor Swift or Post Malone or whatever you feel like is in your set list. Keep that stuff in your earbuds. Don't be blasting it loudly, and be considerate of others, because again, everyone's on their own path. So those are the Leave No Trace principles. There's a lot more to it. I encourage you to check out that organization, but specifically, again, at the end of the day, hello, Woods All Trails. Good morning, my friend. Thank you for joining us. If you're enjoying today's live stream, guys, make sure you hit the like button. It definitely helps me get in front of a wider audience. And for those, again, that are training for a larger through hike, I do have a spreadsheet that breaks down all of the mileage from all of my hikes on the Appalachian Trail, starting at Springer all the way to Mount Katahdin. Woods All Trail says, I play music but on a personal speaker and turn it down when people are around. Well, that is good to do that, to make sure that you are considerate of others. And again, hike your own hike. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you that you should have no music. Do what's best for you. Be considerate of others. If you want to play music at your camp and you feel that that's what you need to do, just be considerate of others, and I think we'll be fine. So again, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting. I've been putting out state-by-state hikes as well, but there's a spreadsheet that breaks down all of those hikes in some of the videos. Make sure you go and check that out. If you need more information on that, I'll put that spreadsheet in the description when I get home later today, so you'll have that as a resource. But again, I am training for an upcoming through hike of the Pine Mountain Trail. I want to give a shout out to Noah and Randall. We will see you out there on the Pine Mountain Trail. These are some people that have been watching my channel over the past year that wanted to hike the trail, and I said I would meet them to walk them through this process. But it's also a celebration of 5 years of being on the AT. Woods All Trail says, I turn it down low when people are around, earbuds fall out too easily. I see what you're saying. Yeah, those things can be annoying. Again, I'm celebrating 5 years of doing my very first through hike of the Pine Mountain Trail. So I learned a lot from that experience. And by hiking with my friends this weekend, I'm hoping that I will also transfer some of that knowledge of the Pine Mountain Trail. And more specifically, I'm hoping that as they grow on their journey, that they will share that information with others. Because again, we as a hiking community, we all learn from each other. There's so much out there to learn, and there's all these little nuances of things that we all pick up on. Johnny Camper was very influential to me in my journey and teaching me specifically things around camping, on how to set up and break down very easily. You talk every year and do and do nothing. I have no idea what that means. You're a true legend, tons of experience. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm always out on trail. Again, my message is this year is to train local, support local clubs and organizations, to become a member of the Georgia Appalachian Trail Club. I am a trail ambassador. I will be out on the Georgia section of the Appalachian Trail more frequently this year, and I hope to see you guys out there. For all those that are watching today, again, train local, practice Leave No Trace principles, be consistent, and so forth. Woods All Trail says, I don't know about your burrito taste. Yeah, so when it comes to the burritos, what I was doing, hitting AT Sunday, oh boy, Finn Vikings. Have fun out there, Finn Lane. I hope you have a good time on the AT. So hiker hunger is real. What he's referencing in terms of the burrito, I would basically try and put everything I could find in my pack into a burrito so I could get as many calories, fat, protein, carbs all at once. And I was putting like string cheese, peanut butter, pepperonis, Fritos. Sometimes I'll even put cookies in there, Oreos and so forth. But I would get this like sweet, savory type munch, and I would just roll it up and eat it. Woods All Trail says I could do it all but the peanut butter. Hey, it's not that bad. All right, so on the peanut butter side, I put peanut butter in everything to get that extra protein punch. I was actually putting peanut butter in my ramen, right? So if you guys have ever had pad thai before, what's pad thai? It's peanut, right? Peanut flavor. So I would have chicken ramen, I would add peanut butter, a chicken packet, and I'd mix it all up and it would taste like chicken pad thai. So it's just kind of like a hiker trash pad thai, to say the least. It's pretty good, and it's pretty cheap too. So if you think about the protein from the chicken, the protein from the peanut butter, you get yourself at around 20 grams or so of protein. So that's just an easy way to make a cheap meal and get the protein that you need. On trail, the reason why I was eating all that stuff was I needed to make sure that my protein was high, because a lot of people lose a lot of weight on the trail, and also if you're not getting enough protein, you'll start to eat your muscles actually over time. So I was eating, anywhere between 4,000 to 8,000 calories per day, and even doing that, I lost 30 pounds. I started at 195 and went all the way down to 165 by the end of my journey. So again, guys, part of all this is just getting familiar with what you're going to eat on a regular basis, being consistent, again, going through those regimens and so forth. But especially on a long distance through hike, you will be running through a number of different calories. So those hiker burritos were definitely helpful. I also found myself eating a lot of junk food, mainly because of what was available. We would go into Walmarts and stuff of that nature, and you just wanted to get something that was consistently available, because every place is different. You would get yourself in this routine of saying, oh, I can get my protein where I need to. Hooter says, we'll be back on the AT on Monday to finish the Georgia section. It was great to see you. I enjoyed following your journey. Tiffany, thank you so much. Great, guys. I hope that you guys, those that are heading out the Odd Squad, I want to say it's the Kid, Atypical Hiker, and Hooter, they're going out to do more on the Georgia section. I believe also they're going to be heading up to Winding Stair and then going down and finishing up that section as well. In the near future, I will be going outside of Georgia to hike from Winding Stair into NOC, as well as Carver's Gap into Boots Off Hostel. Shout out to Boots Off. I saw those guys at the AT Gateways. If you guys are watching this live stream, hello, my friends. Good to see you. And also in regards to the hostels, as a whole, guys, if you're watching my channel, again, with being affiliated with Woods All Trails, says awesome live and hope to hike with you one day. Give this man a thumbs up and subscribe. You won't be. Thank you, guys. Yeah, again, if you're enjoying today's live stream, please hit that like button. It definitely helps me reach a wider audience. Also to continue my message of what I'm doing out here to live a sober, positive lifestyle, to hike local, and to always practice leave no trace principles on trail to protect what we have for future generations. All right, Woods All Trail says, catch you later. See you on trail, my friend, and good luck to everyone. It's been a great day so far. I got to hit the trail, guys. Just wanted to say hello. Again, if you guys want to see my most recent video on the friendliest state on the Appalachian Trail, make sure you check out that video. It just dropped yesterday. Lots of information in there. And again, if you missed my presentation from AT Gateways, there is 3 tips and strategies for a successful through hike. It is on my YouTube channel. I encourage you to check that out. And as far as the spreadsheet goes, training for an Appalachian Trail through hike, there is a spreadsheet with all the daily mileage in terms of where I started, where I got out. Big shout out to Chris Aconi. Thank you so much for helping me put that together. Until next time, guys, let's keep moving.